Okay, so let's talk about the elephant in the room when it comes to smartphones. For years, seriously, years, everyone's been asking the same thing. When is Apple going to get in on the foldable action? Well, today we're going to unpack their whole strategy, this patient play, and figure out what it could mean for, well, the future of our phones.
I mean, you've probably been wondering this yourself, right? We've seen everyone else launch their foldables, then their second gen, then their third, all while we get these little hints and rumors from Apple. So, is the wait finally almost over? Are we actually getting close?
Well, believe it or not, it looks like we have an answer. The year you're going to want to circle on your calendar? 2026. Yeah, still a little ways off, but all the chatter points to 2026 as the year Apple makes its big, calculated move into a whole new kind of device. Okay, but before we get too excited about Apple's plans, we got to ask a fundamental question. Why aren't we all using foldable phones right now? It leads to this, well, this foldable conundrum. What's holding them back from really taking over? And if you've ever actually used a foldable, you probably know the answer. There are these nagging issues, right? First, there's the crease. You just can't unsee it. Then they're kind of chunky and heavy, not exactly sleek. And probably the biggest one, you're always kind of wondering, is this thing going to last? For most people, those are some serious deal breakers.
So what's Apple's answer to all this? Well, it's the classic Apple playbook, isn't it? They have zero interest in being first to the party. They want to be the ones who show everyone else how it's really done. So they're watching, they're perfecting the tech behind the scenes, and they're getting ready to just dominate.
And yeah, you hear people say, oh, Apple's late, but that's missing the point. It's not about being late. It's a very deliberate choice. You've got to remember, they're waiting for the technology to get good enough to meet those ridiculously high Apple standards we all know about. And this timeline really puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? The first foldables came out way back in 2019. So for 7 years, give or take, Apple's competitors have basically been beta testing their products out in the open, refining them year after year. And only then, in 2026, is Apple planning to step in. You can bet they've been taking a lot of notes. So what's the mission with all this extra time? It's pretty simple, really. Solve every single problem that exists with current foldables. That crease everyone complains about, Apple's goal is to make it pretty much disappear. The bulky designs, they're working on something way thinner and lighter. And those worries about durability, their answer is just a flawless experience. No compromises. All right, so let's get to the good stuff. What is this thing actually going to be like? What can we expect to see in 2026? Let's dive into what we're hearing about the so-called iPhone Fold. Okay, first thing you need to know, this is not just going to be another model in the iPhone lineup. We're talking about a whole new category, ultra premium. Think about a device that sits even above the Pro Max models. We're talking top of the food chain with a design to match and, yep, you guessed it, a price tag to match. So this is basically the blueprint, the marching orders for the engineers. It's super clear, right? In terms of design, it has to be thinner and lighter than anything else out there. For the display, that crease needs to be a non-issue. And its place in the market? Right at the very top. It's all about setting a brand new standard right out of the gate. Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. What does this all mean for the rest of the industry? You know, what happens when a giant like Apple finally steps into the foldable ring? This could change things for everyone. And really, if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. Apple isn't just trying to sell another phone. They're trying to define what a foldable phone should be. Think about what they did with the original iPhone or the Apple Watch. They didn't invent the category, but they perfected it for the mainstream. That's the goal here, to set the standard everyone else has to follow. Which leaves us with the million-dollar question, right? This patient strategy has worked for them time and time again. But is the foldable market a different animal? Will Apple's patience actually pay off this time? And are they the ones who will finally make foldables a thing for everybody? I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens in 2026.